Hey guys, welcome back to a Diamondfire video, and today we're going to be learning how to program your own games in Minecraft with no command block knowledge. That's right, no command block knowledge. So yeah guys, we're going to be learning today how to use some of the actions on the Diamondfire server in order to teach you, yes you, how to make your own games. Okay guys, so the first thing that you're going to notice is that we have a box. And there's boxes all around. So this is called a plot. It's a 50 by 50 area that goes all the way down to bedrock to build height. And this is where you can build your own code, creations. So for example, if I wanted to make a parkour, I could place blocks. So, there are three modes Diamondfire. So there's /play, which allows you to play your creations, /code, which allows you to code your creations, which is the mode I'm in right now, and /build, which allows you to build. If you purchase a rank, basically kind of like donating money to the server, you get World Edit, and World Edit, as far as I understand, is not possible even if you have it installed on Diamondfire without buying it. So you cannot use World Edit while in dev mode or while in code mode. So basically, if I'm in mode dev right now, I have access to code blocks. So, the first thing that we're going to be starting out with today is called a player event. Just going to clean up our plot. So, I'm going to be taking these episodes kind of slow. I'm going to be walking through each block, or each couple of blocks, each day, each video. And this is going to be replacing my Saturday and my Friday and Saturday uploads. So guys, today we're going to be learning how to use player event and if player and player action. So all player actions. So they all have something to do with player input on your game. So we have player events, right? And there are 6 different categories. So this is what happens when a player joins your game, quits your game, or enters a command. But we're not going to worry about commands right now. Another thing is when they right-click something, left-click something, right-click an entity such as a pig, right-click a player. If a player places a block, breaks a block, swaps hands, and it just goes on. So these 3 blocks are kind of like your bread and butter for player interactions. So let's say you want to send a message when someone joins your game. So you can have a lot of people on your game at once. The most I've had is about 12, but that's beside the point. So let's say you want to send a message to a player when they join your game. So you're going to take your player event join, and everything that you place in this line will have to do with when a player joins. So anything in this whole line, from this stone to this diamond block, will occur when a player joins your game. So this is the next thing that we're going to introduce, a player action. So, used to do something related to a player or multiple players. Examples: send a message to a player, which is what I said before, damage or heal a player, and clear a player's inventory. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to press the beacon, which is labeled communication, and we're going to press the book, which is send message. It says send a chat message to the player. So you can read the additional info. It's not really necessary to this tutorial. So then there are these items, if you know anything about coding, called variables. And they are your text, number, location, sound effect, particle effect, potion effect, dynamic variable, those are tougher, game value, and spawn eggs. But the only ones that we're really going to be messing around with in the first couple episodes of the series is our basic text, number, location, sound effect, particle effect, and potion. So we're going to take our text, right? And we're going to type, "Hi there." And then we're going to put it in here. So you're going to notice that it's going to be white. It's white text. And I'm going to show you how you can add colors to your text later on in the video. So the next thing that we're going to do is, you notice if we go into our plot, nothing happens. And we can place down blocks, and we can break blocks. And then we can also code. So in order to be able to interact with your code, you have to type in the command /play. And you're going to notice right here is that we joined our game, AJK1000, game number 9. Disclaimer, this is my 9th game only because I have purchased a rank on the server. Some actions that I can do because I've purchased my rank, players who just joined cannot. And I will try to be sticking with basic actions that are free to anyone on the server. If you do not buy a rank, you only get one 50 by 50 plot, which is the plot that we're in right now. So this says, "Hi there." Ignore these, but for now at least. So you're gonna see CP, and this message right here, AJKJ1000 joined AJKJ1000 game number 9. This is only showed to the creator or the owner of the plot. So not anyone who joins your game cannot see this. Only you can. So we received the message, "Hi there." So this is like, again, your bread and butter of letting your player know rules of your game if you're having a free-for-all, or interacting with NPCs if you're making an RPG. It has thousands of uses. So the next thing that we're going to learn how to do in the series is learn how to use what are called color codes. So if you're looking at this, it says "Hi there" in white italicized text. It's italicized because there's no color codes. If there are color codes, you can still italicize it, but it will not be italicized unless you specifically tell the code. So the way that you add color codes, you can see some of the coding actions and troubleshooting in this, what's called the reference book, when you type in /dev or /code, either one. So, table of contents, color codes, 2 to 4, and that's what we want. So, if you type, for example, the and symbol and 8, that will change the text to this dark gray color. Alright? So if we put in that and symbol and 1, it'll change the text to this dark blue color. And these are all of the color codes, at least in 1.15. In 1.16, they're going to be adding more color codes, which have thousands of colors. So if we add an and symbol and an O, it'll make the text italicized. And an and symbol and a K will make the text I'm just gonna call it gibberish, but it's just, I don't even know. It's just random. It's random letters. You can kind of see the letters here and there, but you're not meant to. So let's make our join message the message that the players receive when they join the game, this dark green color. So that means we're going to have to type on this book, and I'm going to repeat it. It can't just be any old book. in order for you to be able to type something in, you have to grab this thing from this text variable. There are other ways to rename items, but we'll get on to that later in the tutorial. So let's say we want to rename, let's say we want to call our message, the message that the players receive, this dark green color. So you have to type in the and symbol and 2. And 2. And then we'll type in, hello, this is our first color-coded message. And we will put this in. So now, the code itself hasn't changed, but the variable that we are sending is. It's saying player event join. So when a player joins your game, they are sent a message. So again, if we type in /play, we see, hello, this is our first color-coded message. Okay guys, so now that we've learned how to use color codes and how to send a message when a player joins, let's say you want to make a game like the Hypixel Pit. So if you want to make a game like the Hypixel Pit, first you would want to build the arena, correct? So what you would have to do, if you want to effectively be able to build, you want to type in /build. So these are other plots. If you see, we cannot fly into them. We cannot affect them. See, I'm trying to break the code. I'm trying to break the blocks. I'm trying to break the code. Nothing happens. Just like they can't affect our plot. So let's say we want to make something like the Hypixel Pit. And let's say we want our players to spawn, so when they type in /play on this block. We want our players, when they come in, when they join our plot, to spawn on this dark oak log. Just gonna add a little bit more of a spherical shape to our wheel. So we want our players to spawn on this spot. So there are 2 ways you can do this. The first thing is, if you created the plot, you can go on the block that you're standing on the block that you want to set the plot spawn point. You type in /plot set spawn. So now players will spawn on this location. The next, or the alternative option that you could use, if we go to /dev, and we take the next player action after join and after send message, and we right click it, we go to movement, and we click the ender pearl, and this is teleport. So then we go to variable, and we take the location. So it says how to set. Right click this item to set it to your current location. Left click it to set it to a block. So we want it to set it to our current location. So with plot /set spawn, or /plot set spawn, forgive me for that mispronunciation. I don't believe you can change the way the players are facing, but I believe you can do this with teleport. So if you want the player to look at your code when they spawn in, you'll right click the iron bar named variables. You'll take out the location variable, and you will right click in the direction and on the block that you want them to be teleported to. And you'll notice how these can stack. So if instead of doing the same location 3 different times, you can take 3 locations, or you can even do the creative mode trick of using the middle mouse button to stack these, to duplicate them. But that's beside the point, we'll get into that later. And we would type in /play. And see, we spawn in, and we are looking at our code. So the first thing that you notice in slash play is you can't fly. So you can't automatically fly. So we spawned on the we spawned on this log facing our code. We received our message, and technically we are really able to start making this game. So I have just showed you how just placing down 3 blocks and very easily typing a message into chat and right clicking where we want them to be teleported for you to start making your game. So we could now, let's take it one step farther. So let's say you really have your heart set on making a PvP game, and you want to be able to OP yourself whenever you want. But you don't want just any player to be able to be OP'd. So you just want yourself. So you would take this if player, used to execute the code inside it of a certain condition related to a player or multiple players is met. So that might sound like a big pot of mumbo jumbo, but if you place it down, you'll instantly notice that you get this if player sign along with everything else, a chest, which is where you put your words, which is where you insert the input, so variables, items, whatever, and 2 pistons, which you don't have on your player actions. So these pistons are what I like to call if pistons. If the player is X, then Y, or whatever is inside these pistons, occurs. So let's say if you want to be OP'd, you get to be able to fly. So very simply, we know that we're going to use a player action and an if player, because if your name equals, we're going to go to miscellaneous, and we're going to select the name tag, and this says name equals, checks if a player's username is equal to one of the usernames in the chest. So now you're going to take your variable, take your text variable, and you're going to type in your player name. So in my case, it's AJKJ1000. But in your case, it's most likely something totally different. So, for example, if my player name was Joe Bob, and I want to be OP'd when I join my game, I would type in Joe Bob, and I would put it in the name equals chest. Again, in order to get name equals, you right click the ground, as long as it's as long as it's behind a player event. You right click the ground, like so, and then you right click the sign. So there's toggleable conditions, locational conditions, item conditions, or miscellaneous conditions. So we're going to use name equals. So if the player's name equals Joe Bob, settings, enable flight. So this is saying if your name equals Joe Bob or whatever you put in this chest, enable flight, which means you are instantly OP'd when you join the game. So let me switch the text variable back to my name, and we put it in the chest, and then we type in again /play. So you'll notice how we can fly. We can fly like as if you were in build mode or code mode or creative mode on a single player world while you are playing, and you can't break the blocks, and you can't go into you can't access these chests, and you can't go into other plots. So that is how you could OP yourself. So far, we have utilized 3 different actions, or 3 different code blocks, which is what I'm going to be referring to them as from now on. So what we are telling Diamondfire, or our game, to do is when a player joins, right? Is when a player joins, they get sent a message, which is, hello, this is our first color-coded message. Then they get teleported to that location, which we set to be this dark oak block. And if you want your players to be facing in the same direction you were facing when you right-clicked, when you set the location, you would press tag, keep current location, and you would click it until it says false. And finally, we told our game if a player name equals AJKG1000, that they would get flight, and nothing goes in here. So they would get flight. And to show that it's specific names, if I change this to any other name, for example, Dad P, and we put this in the chest instead of AJKG1000, and we go into play. See, we cannot fly. Only when Dad P joins the plot, only he is OP'd, only he can fly. Okay guys, so this is where the intermediate or advanced section of the tutorial is going to be. I highly suggest you go on to Diamondfire yourself if you are inexperienced, and try it out yourself, try out the same kind of message, and you can come back to the tutorial when you're ready to see something new. Okay guys, so let's say you don't want your text, your message, to be only one color. So this is very easily doable. You can go to the reference book if you forget the codes. So let's say we want it to say hi in orange, and then say this is a tutorial in purple. So we need to do and 6, hi, then space, and 5, this is a tutorial. And I'll show you how this is done. So do and 6, hi, then space, and 5, this is a tutorial. And this is very easy to do, and you place this back in, and then we type in /play, and then you'll instantly notice that this is different. It is different from this message. And we did not make any obvious modifications to the code. We just changed this book. So now I'm going to change it to the message that I usually insert when I when players run my plot. Hi is a placeholder because we're not getting into what I usually do right now, and that's a variable. So you see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 3 different colors in this one message, and it's not noticeable. So when players join my plot, again, this is the intermediate portion of the tutorial. I type in, so it's, what you have to do is, it's shift and 5, so you can get the percent symbol, and default. And this percent default, this is called a selection. And you can learn more in the reference book, pages 5 to 8. So you can just flip there, and you can read this if you like. Pause the video. And so percent default, the player who triggered the event. So in our case, this is saying the player who joined is sent a message that says, bracket, plus sign, bracket, and then their name. You'll also notice that this just says send message. So right now I'm sneaking, and I'm right-clicking the sign. And now it says player action targets. Again, I'm sneaking, see? Sneaking. and then I'm right-clicking the sign. And then I get current selection, default player, so that doesn't do anything because that only sends the message to the player who joined. This sends the message to the person who killed the victim, or the killer. This sends the message to the damager. This sends the message to the shooter. So these won't help us. And then this is the beacon, all players. So every single player on the plot will notice this message. They will receive this message sent to them. So this will send this message to all players. So let's say you wanted to be really generous to your players. And when you join, whenever this player joined, so whenever AJK1000 joins this plot, you want everyone to have flight. So you do the same thing. You would sneak, and you would right-click the sign, and you would select all players. So this is basically saying when someone joins the plot, it sends this message to every single player, and it teleports the player who joined to this location. And then it tests if the player who joined, and if their name is AJKJ1000, everyone on the plot gets flight. But if the player name is not equal to AJKJ1000, everyone on the plot does not receive flight. So if I'm going into play, so it says plus AJKJ1000. So I'm going to recruit somebody and see if they would be willing to help and help me show off and prove that this is always relates to the person who joined the game. So now we have someone who joined our plot, and and they're going to try to fly. See? And when I join, they can now fly. Simple. These blocks of code allow us to enable players to fly. So everyone got sent this message. Then we, the two of us, got teleported to that location. And then when I joined, and not SliverNightmare, not only my name when I joined, everyone is enabled flight. Okay guys, in this very simple tutorial, we'll be getting into a more complex one using these three blocks tomorrow. We learned how to send a message to all players, and we learned how to use %default, at least in a message. We learned how to teleport. We learned how to use name equals, and we learned how to use name equals. And we also learned how to use the 3 different modes on a plot. So there's a bunch of commands that you can use on Diamondfire as well that are you can't actually use in single-player survival or even on creative mode. And I plan on going over those tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a command tutorial as well as these 3 blocks, and these are all the blocks on Diamondfire available. So, and we'll also be learning how to use the not arrow, which is also very simple. So tomorrow, we'll be learning how to use player event, if player, player action, and the not arrow in a more sophisticated way. So guys, I hope you enjoyed, and that's the end of my Diamondfire tutorial. So I'll see you next time. Bye! Guys, remember, if you liked the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Alex, and I'll see you out there.